So, Ambien might be knocking you out, but could it be wrecking your brain? Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most prescribed sleep medications in the world and whether it's safe, how it works, and also the side effects that we really need to be aware of. And I'll also be telling you some safer alternatives to help you fall asleep and stay asleep. Hi there, I'm Dr. Funke.afolabrown, and if you are new to this channel, you want to hit that subscribe button. I share on various topics related to sleep. I'm the founder of the Restful Sleep Place and Restful Sleep MD, and our mission is to empower you to make the best choices that would optimize your sleep. So let's start with what is Ambien. So to start with, Ambien is a sleep medication, is under the category of medications that we call non-benzodiazepine sedative hypnotics. So there are different types of medications that help you sleep. There's the benzodiazepines, which you may have heard about before, things like lorazepam. You might hear things like alprazolam, clonazepam. All those PAMs are a group, and those medications are really have a lot of side effects. They could be effective, they're very habit forming. There's a new classification which we call non-benzodiazepine hypnotics. And so the goal is to achieve the same, to help you sleep. So how does Ambien work? Ambien is just one of the many. Another name for Ambien is zolpidem. So it is what we call a GABA receptor, works on the GABA receptors. And so what is that? Essentially what it does is it attaches to those receptors in your brain that helps you now, fall asleep. And there are many different formulations, there are many different dosages available and things like that. So why has Ambien become so popular? What in the world happened? So over the last, several years, because of all the side effects we were seeing with the other benzodiazepines, the non-benzos kind of have taken the market by the storm. Thousands and millions of people use this medication. They use it short term, meaning that you have something that happened around your sleep where you had insomnia or difficulties falling asleep, but they also use it long term. So let's talk through why is Ambien so popular. The first thing I would say is it is used in treatment of insomnia. Okay, what is insomnia? Insomnia is when you have a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep, right? So why Ambien? Ambien makes you sleep faster. One of the benefits that Ambien has is that it has a very rapid onset of action. What does that mean? It means it works very quickly. So if you take it about 30 minutes before bed, you literally will start to feel drowsy by bedtime. And so it has that quick onset of action, which many people who have insomnia are struggling with, right? They have a hard time falling asleep. So it helps you fall asleep faster. The other thing that it does is that it has what we'll call a relatively short half-life. So what that means is that it just doesn't stay in your body for so long where you might start to see, the drowsiness in the morning. So this is why people really like it. It has a short half-life. It has a rapid onset of action. So that morning grogginess is not as likely to occur. And as a result, it helps people fall asleep. And, to some degree, there's what we call a relative lower risk of tolerance. So most people over time, when you start taking a medication for sleep, their body starts to get used to it. They almost start to get dependent on it. And so some people have seen that with Ambien, maybe you don't see that much of an effect. But you know what? The studies and the research is mixed. And overall, I'm not going to lie, Ambien works on the short term. So a lot of the research that has been done has seen that it helps decrease time to fall asleep. It helps people fall asleep faster. It helps them. Some people stay asleep actually as well. And, for the short term, it works. But now here is the issue that many times we tend to get into. While this medication helps on the short term, it is not a long-lasting solution. There are many side effects that you have to walk through. And even before we get to, okay, what happens on the long term, you have to navigate those side effects. So even though I told you less risk of drowsiness, well, people still feel drowsy depending on the dose and the timing. So Drowsiness during the daytime is one common side effect. Headaches in the morning is something else people talk about. Feeling very dizzy, kind of out of it, is also something that people tend to experience. Now, the reason why, and this happens with all the medications for sleep that is taken, it is not mimicking natural sleep, okay? It is not, right? So the natural sleep is natural sleep. So it changes to some degree how your sleep looks. And so those feelings of, well, maybe not as refreshed or whatever, you might still experience that in the morning. Another side effect that we see with Ambien are those complex behaviors. I'll never forget a story one of my colleagues said where it became a crime issue, right? So this individual who was on Ambien suddenly showed up in another person's house, and they woke up in the morning and found the guy there folding their laundry. What would you say if that was you? You get into your own house and you just see someone randomly, a man, folding laundry. Like, what is going on here? And so, of course, they called the cops. The whole thing was a big deal. At the end of the day, the prescribing doctor had to testify that no, 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 no. This guy is prescribed Ambien, and one of the side effects is complex sleep behavior, sleepwalking, sleep talking, sleep terrors, all those random bizarre things people do. Sometimes it might be, and this is why when you have issues with your sleep and you come to see me, for instance, in my practice, I want a detailed history of your medications. What medications have you used before? What medications are you currently on? What side effects are you experiencing? All those things have to be taken into consideration. So that is exactly something that's actually has been shown to occur in people who are on Ambien. And then in some people, they have sleep driving, which is very, very dangerous. So it's almost kind of similar to sleepwalking. Now they're driving. So you really, really have to be cautious. And I think one of the things that really came up more recently, it's been a few years now, is that especially in the elderly, Ambien can potentially increase the risk of dementia. Okay, this is really alarming. In fact, there was a study where they had about 26 longitudinal studies, meaning that they carried on and they followed these people for a very long time. And so what they found, these were like millions of people. What they found was that these patients who were on hypnotics, these are medications that are sedating, including medications like Ambien, at a higher risk. Guess what percentage? 23% higher risk of developing dementia compared to people who were not on Ambien. So when we think about what is the mechanism, how does that even make sense? There's a system in our brains, it's called the glymphatic system, the G lymphatic system. This is that system that helps with the brainwashing, any extra products or deposits on the surface of your brain over the course of the day. It is normally in everybody. You go to sleep, you get into deep sleep, that glymphatic system kind of opens up the channels and washes away waste products. Now, when you take medications like Ambien, what people have found is that there's a decrease in the function of those lymphatic channels in your brain. So what does that mean? Things get backed up. And one of the products that gets backed up if the glymphatic system is not working is one of the chemicals has been found or associated with conditions like dementia. So really something to be aware of, and you really need to lean in. They found other studies that showed that risk as well. They found that risk again is higher in the elderly, but you start growing old from today, right? Whatever you're doing right now is what will determine your future. So but they also saw that risk was higher for people who are using it long-term versus short-term. So the duration matters, the dosage matters, the age matters, quite a lot of things go into it. But I would say if you have something that can potentially hasten loss of memory, you probably want to, take a step back and just be cautious. Now, let's even talk about what other alternatives are there, right? I told you Ambien it's fine, it works, but it does have a lot of side effects and it is not supposed to be for long term. The gold standard for treating insomnia or sleep difficulties is really cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. So if you are in a situation where you are on Ambien and you are trying to get off, it is important that you partner with your doctor, you partner with a sleep doctor to even be even better, to help figure out a way to get you off or to transition you to a more holistic, more natural alternative. And in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, we have some videos where we've talked about this, and I will do more. So if you haven't subscribed, you want to subscribe to this channel. It's really addressing thoughts, behaviors, and habits related to your sleep. So you'll hear things like cognitive restructuring, things like sleep restriction or bedtime restriction, which is what I like to call it, things like stimulus control, things like psycho education and sleep hygiene. So it's the entire package. And this is something that you would do in collaboration with either a sleep psychologist, a sleep physician like myself, and then some other, therapists and things like that. You really want somebody who knows and is certified to do these things. And that is a strategy that I have used in so many of my patients where they've been able to wean off medications like Ambien or other medications successfully. So we've talked about various things. We've talked about Ambien. We've talked about, the benefits, if you would call it. We've talked about the side effects, including some that are potentially very dangerous. And we've talked about alternatives to getting you better natural sleep, which is possible. It's all about restoring your sleep confidence. So if you or your loved one is struggling with sleep and you're trying to find the right solutions, it is not in the sleep medications you're using on the long term. Okay, short term, there's some potential benefit, but on the long term, you want long lasting solutions. And that's the kind of solutions that we offer at the Restful Sleep Place. So you could schedule an appointment to see us. We are a concierge sleep practice, but we are more than happy to help walk you on the sleep journey. So give us a call, 215-607-8297, or you could visit our website to learn more about the services we offer and to schedule an appointment. And I hope this has been beneficial. If you have someone who is on Ambien, I don't want you freaking out. Just learn and then you make a better choice. But imagine a situation where you are confident enough in your own ability to go to sleep, to stay asleep, and to wake up feeling refreshed and being the best version of yourself. It is possible, and I would be more than happy to help you navigate that journey. Until next time, I hope you rest well.